The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Hello and welcome to the Hoop Ball NBA DFS Today podcast. Today is November 30th and it is a Saturday. And my name is Joe Sarvadi, affectionately known as Coach. And I am joined with the man, the myth, the legend himself, the NBA DFS Shark du jour, Mr. Mike Apotria. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing swell. It's another one of our morning podcasts instead of late at night. So I got my coffee right next to me. I'm waking up. I'm fired up. Had some ample time to kind of look over this slate and really break it down. It's going to be like we were talking about it before we got on air. It's going to be a fun one. It's only a 3-game main slate, and then we have the one showdown slate. But there's going to be a lot of things to monitor and kind of go off of. And I think this is the kind of slate where us sharks we get an edge on the average player. Just maybe the average sucker on a Saturday has the night off from work, wants to get a little action. This is the kind of slate that you could take advantage of that.
I agree. I think it works both Saturdays and Sundays, especially during the NFL. If you get some cross sport fish in there that you can throw out the bait and reel some of them in. So that's what we need to do. We need to identify this stuff for our listeners to make some money. That's what it's all about. But before we get started, I'd like to thank our presenting sponsor. We both are sipping our Hawaiian Isles Kona coffee right now, and we appreciate their sponsorship and would really highly recommend you go to their website, Hawaiian Isle Kona Coffee Company, or check them out on Amazon. I know Mike and I do the Amazon order, and boom, it's on your doorstep the next day, and you're ready to go. So we appreciate them. Also, hoop-ball.com. Please continue to support our host and our home base spot. I don't know, Mike. I'm sure you have because you're up on all that. But did you happen to read the last Brewski Brews letter, as they're calling it?
Oh yeah, I read every one. I think they come in on I think it's a Monday or Tuesday that they come in through my email, and of course we get a little shout out. He's always kind of going over what the premium article of the week is. I know Mike Panda Pasador just put out a nice one on Frank Nicolina not too long ago, so
Yeah.
highlight it and check it out, guys. I mean these guys, they're brilliant. Honestly, they're some of the brightest minds I've worked with. They all know their basketball inside and out, and not only know their ball like Coach and I, but they know season-long basketball better than anybody in the industry, and I'll put my money on that. These guys get on top. Brewski was one person hyping on Rashawn Holmes for years now, on how good he could be with starter level minutes, and we're
Yeah.
seeing that. We've been riding this Jonathan Isaac train since day one. And we're kind of seeing him really explode and turn into a superstar this season. So check him out. Definitely get on both sides of it. You can take advantage. We also have some other DFS content on the premium side as well. So we're pumping out stuff here, Coach. We got a lot of stuff working.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the more information, the more you read up on stuff, and like you said, those guys are just so good at putting thoughts into words and putting that together. And I know on that Bruise letter, he touches on all 30 teams. Not touches, goes pretty good into all 30 teams. So jump on hoop-ball.com. So that's the only way to sign up for the Bruise letter. Get involved with us there as much as you can. Hopefully you're going to that website every day as it is, because we're hoping you go to forums and then DFS, and the DFS thread will have all the updates throughout the day from our guys Miles and Andy and all of us DFS pros. We're all putting notes and changes and all kinds of information up there. So awesome stuff, man. All right, let's jump in. We've got the solo showdown game. It's a 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time game, and it is two slow-mo teams. It's the Denver Nuggets and Sacramento Kings, and they happen to be the 27th and 28th less paced team in the league. You can't even say fast paced. And so we expect this game to somewhat be a bit of a grind. Denver is quietly 13-3, dude. Did you know Denver was 13-3?
I know. Now that you said it, no, I knew that they were doing well, and I'm really not surprised. I mean, this team is deep. They got veterans. They added some good players, and during the offseason, they're getting some young players with tons of talent, like Michael Porter Jr. back. So I'm really not surprised. This team can really go toe to toe as far as depth with any other team in the NBA.
Yeah, I thought they'd regress a little bit from last year, where they finished second in the West and almost won the West, but I was wrong thus far. Anyway, this game, slow paced game. I guess the key to this whole thing that I just mentioned is Denver is the second best defensive team in the league. So that's no joking around. And Sacramento is 19th. So do you want to jump on one of these teams, Mike?
Yeah, sure. I'll start with Sacramento. I mean, Sacramento's been pretty clear cut for me as far as the guys I've been targeting with all the injuries that have taken place this season. With De'Aaron Fox being out, Bagley being out. Bagley's actually expected to return relatively shortly, but he's already been ruled out for the next 2 games, as far as I know. So I'm definitely going to have my eye on Buddy Hield. I think just in this matchup, it's a showdown slate. We're looking for the guys that could have the most upside on both sides of the ball, and night in and night out, he's going to keep taking a lot of shots. Yes, Denver's very good defensively, especially on their wings, but the shot attempts have been there for him in the past 2 games. He's taken 24 and 26 shot attempts, and that gives him a nice safe floor where even if he's shooting 35 or 40%, he can still come out of there with 30 to 36 DraftKings points. So I'm definitely going to have a lot of interest in him. I'm sorry, Coach. Do you want to jump in on the Hield?
Oh, no. I said yes. I agree. I'm sorry. I was just. I think I was nodding my head and actually speaking out loud and not meaning to.
All right, listen, jump in on it because he's a guy, and I'll be very upfront with it. I sometimes struggle getting Hield right. He's one of those guys where you really have to hope you get him on a hot shooting night. But it's like I said, I feel a little bit more comfortable. If he's shooting 18, 17 shots a game, then you really have to get him on a 60% shooting night. But when you're shooting 26, I'm willing to take a bigger chance on him because I don't need him to necessarily shoot 60%. So I'm also going to monitor the Richaun Holmes news. He was dealing with migraines on Friday. The plan is that he's expected to play, but sometimes these things creep up, and you might say, yeah, I expect to be gone by tomorrow, and it's not. This could be the situation where we have to keep an eye on it. We'll probably find out relatively early. It is the first game on the slate. If he does sit, I'm going to fire up Dwayne Dedmon. He came out, played decent minutes in the last game, looked good. His biggest worry with Dedmon is Richaun Holmes eating into his minutes. So it's a strict play on if Richaun Holmes misses, I definitely feel more comfortable playing Dedmon. And then I'd also look at Bleacher. That's kind of where I'm drawing the line with the Kings. I do like Bogdanovich. Don't get me wrong; he's been playing fantastic. But the price tag's also getting up there, and we're going to want some guys on the other side of the ball as well.
Yeah, let me ask you this. What do you think's going to happen when Bagley gets back? How are they going to mix these minutes?
Well,
just pick your brain a little bit.
I think it's going to impact Belicia more than it's going to impact the centers because, as reluctant the Kings are, and it would be the smarter move, in my opinion, to get him good center run. They'd rather play him at the power forward right now, and they view him as the power forward of the future. That's why they went out there and brought in guys like Holmes and Dedmon. They wanted to bolster their center position because they want him to play power forward. So I think it's going to more or less impact Belicia, and then we're going to see Barnes obviously slide down to the 3 a little bit more, and that's going to have direct correlation on the wings minutes and their rotation. I'm hoping Bogdanovich still can play some decent minutes. I mean, he did see a little uptick when Bagley first went down, but it was really Fox's injury that opened up the playing time. He started playing a little bit more point guard and really thrived in that kind of situation.
He did.
Push come to shove, I know this might be a hot take. I wouldn't be surprised at the end of the careers or even in the next 6 months we see that Bogdanovich is better than Hield. This kid looks like he's a superstar. He's very good, and he's so young. And the thing is that he's always just barking for playing time. And that was the one fear. He thought he was going to be starting this season, and he wasn't, and it was kind of upsetting him. So he's also playing with a little fire in his belly, trying to prove some coaches wrong, I think.
Well, the key factor that all you really need to know about Bogdanovich is he was offered a $41 million extension, when these other guys were getting 60 and 80 million, and he turned it down. So he's he's completely an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. And I think somebody's going to go out there and pay him just a boatload of money because he has shown through this stretch with Fox being out, it's the best thing that ever happened to him because he's shown that he can play the point and distribute the ball. So, man, he is going to be a valuable somebody to sign.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to seeing where he lands. I would bet my money that it's not in Sacramento just because of the way that,
No.
he wants to force his way out, how they kind of lowballed him on an offer and everything like that. And, if it goes to a contending team, he's probably going to most likely come off the bench, but I'm sure he wouldn't mind coming off a bench for a top team. And if he's still getting that sixth man usage, we're seeing plenty of players be okay with that sixth man role if they're playing 28 minutes and still able to just kind of shoot the lights out against the second unit. And he would really thrive in that role.
I'll tell you, it is going to be an interesting couple of weeks, though, as Bagley comes back, and then you've got the massive wild card of when De'Aaron Fox comes back. Now you're squeezing minutes out of everybody. Bogdanovich has to flip back over. Everybody has to sort of shift minutes and usage. And so I'll tell you, keep an eye on this Sacramento team. Use Bogdanovich and Holmes and Hield as much as you can, in my opinion, because once they get Bagley and Fox back into the mix, this is going to be a dumpster fire of trying to figure out who the hell to play, who's going to get usage. And I don't particularly think Luke Walton's the sharpest coach in the league, so I'm wondering how he's going to manage all of this. I know we're going a little in depth with Sacramento here, but it's just something I wanted to bring up because, everybody's been playing Kings. All those guys I mentioned have been getting lots of usage, lots of ownership, but that's going to change when these guys come back. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what, their minutes are definitely going to be impacted. Maybe some guys still stick in the starting lineup. But when the minutes and usage get impacted, De'Aaron Fox is going to come back, and so is Bagley, and they're both going to have to take 15-plus shot attempts per game.
Yeah, it's gonna shake up the whole wagon there. There's no doubt about it. All right, I'll jump in with the Nuggets on the other side of the ball. This is a slow-paced game, so it is going to play right into Denver's hands. They like to play the half-court offense where they run everything through Jokic at the top of the key. He looks for three guys cutting back door and a back screen, and then I'll take a few dribbles and look the other direction and fake a shot and hit somebody on a bounce pass for a layup. I mean, that's basically it's like watching an old college offense where they run everything through the big man, and the big man's a good passer. Yes, Jokic is one of the greatest passers of all times, really, for big men. He's gonna go down, I think, as that when his career's over. But it really stagnates the rest of the offense. I mean, Jamal Murray is a nice play, on any given night because he can get hot. He can break a slate. I mean, he's one of those streak shooters that he could close his eyes and make shots at times. The problem is there are sections of time that he somewhat disappears because of, like I said, that methodical offense that they run. So, in a game like this against Sacramento, that's the 19th, rated down to 19 in usage. I think Jamal Murray is a solid play on that side of the ball. As far as the Joker goes, he's expensive still, and just the pace of this game, I don't want to spend one of my bigger salaries on a guy in a game that's going to have 15 less possessions than some of these other games. So I'm not going to go there. And then, I don't know if you have anybody else on the Denver side, but I want no part. I know Will Barton's been the darling lately, and he is doing a great job. His price is still down, so you can consider him. So I would say Murray and Barton are in play, but I don't want to mess with these other Jeremy Grant, Gary Harris, Beasley, Millsap, Monty Morris, Mason Plumlee. All of those guys are getting minutes in that they have a really pretty stiff rotation of 9 players that they're using. But I just don't want to go any deeper than that. So I think for me, the only guys in play today are Murray and possibly Barton. What do you think?
I'm on both those guys. I'm with you. I mean, if you want to play Jokic, I'm not going to knock you. He always has that kind of upside, and he is probably the more predictable, highest scorer in this game on both sides of the ball when you're thinking about it, just his pure usage. But you're also paying for him, and it's tough to kind of get a
Right.
lot of those other guys that we mentioned on the other side, and then go for my two favorite plays in Denver, which are happen to be your two favorite plays, which are Will Barton and Jamal Murray. I just think this is a great matchup going against Corey Joseph. They're also going to bring in a little bit of Yogi Ferrell on Murray. Murray should be able to have his way with both those guys. And Barton kind of thrives. I've always mentioned Sacramento being very porous against opposing shooting guards and wings.
Right.
And that I kind of see him taking advantage of that spot. So I wouldn't mind a Gary Harris if you want to save money. I mean, like I said, I do like to target shooting guards and wings against his team. He's being the other one. He'll probably be very, very low on the ownership poll. He's just not very tantalizing as far as his upside or his floor. But I think you could give each one of those little upside and floors a little boost upwards in this kind of matchup where I don't mind, saving paying 4,400 in a showdown slate on him.
Beautiful. Well, hopefully that gives you a basis to build that showdown team. It's going to be tough because there's going to be all the same guys are going to pretty much get taken. It's going to be such similar lineups in those. So hopefully that gives you at least a picture of you're probably going to have some courage and go with one odd guy in the bunch here just to try to differentiate a little bit. But that should be interesting. All right, let's move on to the 3-game main slate, and the first game is a 7:00 Eastern game, and it's the Indiana Pacers against the Philadelphia 76ers. This is a back-to-back for both teams. They both played yesterday. Again, you have two of the not quickest teams pace-wise. Indiana sitting at 23 and Philly 21. So they do protect the ball and are pretty disciplined on the offensive side. And then you mix that in with the fact that they're the fourth and fifth best defensive teams in the league. You're talking about one of those 97, 94 type of games, I think. I mean, I really do think these teams are solid enough that they're going to probably grind it out. So this is my least favorite game of the three as far as building a team. And let me put this out there. We're doing this game. It's 9:00 here in the morning, so we haven't gotten any player news yet. But I would be shocked if Embiid doesn't sit this game. Don't you think Embiid's going to sit?
I saw a report yesterday, close to last night, that he's expected to sit this game. I'm pretty sure. So that they were planning on sitting on one of the games on the back-to-back. He played in the first one. So I'm actually scripting this as though he's already been ruled out because I can't remember exactly where I seen the report, and shame on me for not giving credit where it's due. But I did see it, and I'm definitely taking that into consideration. And I think we both know what to do whenever he's out. And I know you said you're not very on this game, Coach. I actually really like this game. This is probably my favorite. Yeah, I don't mind the low total because this is a game where I know it's going to stay close no matter what. You look at these other two games later in the night, and they both have these absurd spreads of, I believe, opening right now at the morning, 14.5 for the Milwaukee-Charlotte game and 13.5 for the Houston-Atlanta game. So I know that this game's staying close regardless of the total, and I know there's going to be a lot of usage to go around on the Philly side of the ball without Joel Embiid playing.
Yeah, that's what makes this such a difficult slate is you've got two blowout possibilities there, very likely possibilities, but you've got such juicy players in those blowout games. It's so the question is, do you go with the good defensive slow-paced teams, which are Indiana, Philly, hoping they do score enough to be relevant, or do you risk the big wheels of Harden and Young and all those guys in the big total games that could blow out? So this slate is a headache to me. It really is. Especially yesterday was so. For me, I know we're sort of opposite, but that's because I like cash. You like GPP games, but I like big slates where there's so much options you can really select. This slate today is a stomach ache, man. It is tough. But to get back to that, so I totally 100% game script as well that Embiid's going to be out. I mean, not only do they not play him often on back-to-backs, but they also sat Horford yesterday, figuring that he's going to play monster minutes in this game at center. And this is one of those scenarios, we've talked about it every time it's happened. If when Embiid sits, Horford is a must play. It's just plug and play. I don't care who's defending Indiana, or, their bigs inside, whatever. Horford just eats a lot of those rebounds, points, usage. He benefits the most when he sits. So, I'll just start off and say, from Philly's side, I like Horford a lot. I think he's a great play in this game. A couple other things that happened yesterday. Jay Rich missed, so we'll have to keep news on if he's going to be back. And I know Simmons played, and he played so, but I had read that he didn't go through shoot around yesterday because he had a really bad upper respiratory infection. And if you watched him yesterday, he looked slower. He was hacking a little bit. We have to also watch the news there. So this is going to be a very important game to see what the player news is. So that scares me a little bit. Tobias Harris had a terrible game yesterday, but I sort of like him today. I just feel like, he'll be going against Warren. I think he'll also have a usage bump. So, we may not agree on this one, but the two Philly guys that I'm looking at right now are Harris and Horford. How about you, man?
I'm right on cue with you, actually. So you do like
Wow.
those are two guys that we can fit into our lineups and not have to, break the bank on. Horford only 6,600 and Harris only 6,400 on DK.
Right.
And we're getting a big usage bump out of both of them. I think Tobias Harris ends up at, averaging 1.17 DK points per minute. He's going to play a little bit more time at the 4, so a few more rebounds should be available for him. Looking at 30, 35 minutes in a close matchup, he's hitting right on par for hitting value. And then Horford's also getting a nice little bump, and he's averaging 1.30 DK points per minute. And I believe Horford's getting about 3.5% usage bump, which isn't anything that's small. That's actually a very large usage bump for a player. I'm kind of with you. I'm monitoring that upper respiratory infection for Ben Simmons. It is a back-to-back. Maybe they limit his minutes. Maybe they don't want to play him as much. Whatever the case may be, he is still in play slightly for me. It's Ben Simmons. But one thing I did want to point out with him, he actually sees his usage go down when Embiid's off the floor. So it's not like he's out there taking more shot attempts. We don't play Ben Simmons because we're expecting him to score 30 actual points. The only thing that's really gaining anything in his kind of play with Embiid being out is maybe a few extra rebounds available, but it's also taking a few extra assists off the table for him as well. So I'm with it. It's just going to be Tobias Harris and it's going to be Al Horford. And then if we hear that Josh Richardson is sitting out again, I think we could take another look at Korkmaz if we need some value. And then obviously Matisse Thybulle, he's also playing a little bit of extra run, but you're really just banking on him getting a ton of defensive stats if you play him.
Dude, man, I think we both ate too much turkey because this is the most I think we've ever agreed, like on every player.
I know we're gonna have to find something. It's gonna be a hard chicken soup bet tonight or a turkey soup bet. We'll get a little festive with it.
Gosh, it is. Yeah, we're not gonna have anything. That's crazy. But on the Indiana side, this is my favorite stat of the year, and I know you probably heard me say this 3 different times, but it's so much that I couldn't believe it. I had to double check it. And, when I like to look at when players sit, what happens to the team defense. And it was unbelievable. There was nobody in double digits. The closest one was like 7 point something. But number one, Joel Embiid, when he sits, there are 91. When he plays, there are 91 on defense, which is top 3. When he doesn't play, they go to a 116. So you're talking, a 106. It's a 15.6 bump of them going up. So I'm trying to say 10, is that 106, right?
It's good. It's good. Regardless, it's a very good sign as far as, the Pacers coming into a spot without Embiid. And
exactly.
From the sounds of it, Coach.
That's the part that gives me interest. And even though I ran out of toes and fingers to count and lose my math, the bottom line is Philadelphia has given up 15.5 more points when Embiid doesn't play. So who do you like on Indiana?
I like a lot, and it's part of the reason why I said I'm going to be on this game. And I was about to say, and I was cutting you off, unfortunately, but it was it sounds like you're kind of talking yourself onto this game as we go on a little bit more and more. I mean, close, lots of
Well,
usage.
this is where I'm going to surprise you, but that's okay. I was setting you up on this one, bro.
All right. Well, I still think that we can definitely keep looking at Malcolm Brogdon. I think he's a fair price at 7,300. I'm not really worried about the Ben Simmons defense. And listen, I give Ben Simmons a lot of credit. He's been one of the best defenders in this league. He's been absolutely phenomenal, but he's also dealing with an upper respiratory infection. And it's hard to chase a guy around that had plenty of time to rest. So I'm definitely gonna be looking at him. I think Sabonis is another option. I do not touch Miles Turner, and I will continue to not play Miles Turner. He's just taking the back seat compared to now starting with Sabonis. He's very passive on the glass. He's very passive with shot attempts. Some games he doesn't even get over 5 or 6. So I'm
Yeah.
going to continue just to keep fading him, and I'm going to mostly put a lot of my interest in the two guys I continue to ride, which is Sabonis and Brogdon.
Very good. Now, for me, and again, I did the little reverse snowball here, but here's my problem with Indiana right now. We already talked about the pace factor. We already talked about they're playing against a good defensive team, and when I was able to really get great plays with Indiana is when the combination of different guys were sitting, and Sabonis has sat, Turner has sat, Brogdon has sat for multiple games. All these guys have missed games. Lamb missed a bunch of games. So my point being here is when those guys miss, they have a pretty tight unit of about 7 guys really that they play big minutes. But mainly their starting 5, even though Turner's dropped off some, get all of their usage and points. So when one of them is out, it impacts positively everybody else. And a lot of times there were 2 of them out. So they became must plays. I mean, I dialed up Brogdon and Sabonis every day for a while. Then Lamb was in play then. So all that being said, I just can't differentiate, even though Philly's defense goes down without Embiid out there so much. I think Brogdon, Lamb, Warren, Sabonis, a little bit of Turner, and the 2 Holidays off the bench, and even TJ McConnell right now. Those 8 guys, they're all producing, and what that tells me is, who do you take? They all have lower floors now. They actually all have lower ceilings because of that dispensing of all of the usage all over the place. So even though I love the stat of Embiid, I'm not playing any Pacers for that particular reason, because I don't want to spend the money on a guy like Sabonis and then he has a 27-point fantasy game, or take a shot at Lamb and he throws up a 15-point fantasy game. So that's why I'm passing there, sir.
Okay, I think a lot of it's going to end up coming down to how you end up game scripting. So, like I said, if you're game scripting, I do multiple lineups. I'll end up probably doing maxing out the 20 lineup $4 one on DraftKings on top of doing a few other ones. And I know I'm going to get a few shares of different views. So I know in the views where I'm just anticipating maybe the Bucks get out of hand, and maybe the other games just stay sort of in check, I might have a little bit more ownership in this game, and I'm going to run back some of the guys on Philly with one of those big guys. And one guy I didn't mention, but the more I look at, I kind of really am enticed by the price tag. If we need the value, is T.J. Warren. He's only 4,800, and he should continue still being a part of this offense. He doesn't do a lot in the periphery stats, but the shot attempts have been double digits for the past 3 games, and he does kind of get those 2-3 steal games here and there. So he's another guy I think at 4,800 that can present some value. So yeah, I don't think you necessarily need to go overboard on the Indiana side. I think they're definitely in play because this game will stay close. But if you're going to play a guy like, if you want to do a Trae Young, James Harden kind of stack, and then you also want to get Al Horford, at that point it's going to be hard to get these guys that are 77 or 7,900 in there as well. So I kind of see both sides of it, and I'm going to look at both sides when I'm building my lineups.
I'm with you, man. All right, let's go to game 2 of the 3-game main slate. It's an 8 p.m. Eastern game. It's the Atlanta Hawks who are playing the Houston Rockets. Atlanta did play yesterday, and now they're traveling to Houston, who had the day off, so definitely advantage Houston there. The cool thing for us in the DFS world is Atlanta is the 8th fastest team in the league, and Houston is second. So we've got some teams getting up and down. And on the defensive side of the coin, Atlanta is 23rd and Houston 16th. So that is interesting because you're looking at uh, some very good potential of them getting up and down the floor and putting up a lot of points. Now, as we alluded to earlier, the big question right now is this game going to stay close enough? We know there's going to be a bundle of points and a bundle of DFS points available. If somehow, some way, Atlanta keeps this close enough that everybody's playing, this game is gonna be the game of the night. I firmly believe that, and it's my favorite game because I think Atlanta can hang just enough. If it blows out, there's always this factor. We've seen it and talked about it a billion times. D'Antoni is sort of a rockhead. He doesn't make a lot of sense with playing his guys additional minutes when he really doesn't need to. I mean, we rode that into like 5 victories in a row in the preseason because he was playing Harden like 38 minutes in games in the preseason that had no significance. So, even if they're up 17 or 20, I don't think he really pulls the main guys from Houston at all. So that helps me feel a little bit better. And, Atlanta, I would think, even though they're on a back-to-back, that if Houston's main guys are in, even if they're down 20, I don't think he's going to clear the bench. So I'm banking on the game script that this either stays close enough or this boneheaded D'Antoni keeps his guys in too long. So that being said, there's two pieces of news here that make this game like, oh, I'm so excited to play this. And it's Daniel House and Clint Capella are both doubtful for Houston. And it does not look like, from what I read here, that really they're almost basically out. So you take those two guys out, my goodness, what that really changes the whole aspect of everything that Houston does. To me, I think you start your lineup with Harden. If you don't, I think you're going to lose on this slate. I just really do. And I'm actually going to try to work on some scenarios to put at least 2 more Houston guys in there, whether it be PJ Tucker, because, just because Capella's out, don't fall for starting, in my opinion, Tyson Chandler, because he's going to start the game, but he's not going to play more than like 15, 18 minutes. They'll use Isaiah Hartenstein for 15, 18 minutes, and then whatever portions left, they'll just play small ball, which he loves to play anyway, with PJ playing the 5, especially since Atlanta's a little bit smaller in the front line with no Collins. So, I certainly may go PJ Tucker and try to probably stack 3 Rockets in this game. On the Atlanta side, I think Jabari Parker is really in play. And the reason I'm jumping on both teams, because here's my correlation here. I think if you're going to play this game script to make this your key game, I think you got to stack both sides of it a little bit. It doesn't have to be Harden and Young and Westbrook and just the expensive guys, but I think you got to look at a Jabari Parker and maybe a DeAndre Bembry and Harden and Tucker kind of thing on the other side, because you want to have that correlation and hope this game is 134, 120, and you've got multiple guys that go off. So that's the way I'm playing it out, bro.
Hey, I like it. I mean, at the end of the day, I mentioned that there's negative correlation of it being a high spread. I was going to get to it. I'm not scared off this game. If there's one game I'm avoiding, it's going to be the last game that we talk about. It's going to be the Charlotte-Milwaukee game, and that's just not only because of spread. It's just Milwaukee's defense is absurd. So
Yeah.
that's the game I'm going to have the least amount of shares in. So what I'm really doing is building around that first game that we mentioned, it being a close spread, and then getting shares of these high usage, high volume guys on the other side of on both sides of this game, and then dumpster diving for some value as well with all the injuries. So on the Houston side, I think absolutely you need to start your lineup with James Harden. This matchup is beautiful for him. He did not see a price bump like basically whatsoever. He's always around that high 11 to 12K price range. And then you jump over and you look at a guy like Westbrook who did see a price bump but hasn't been really warranted it. He's not really playing for it. He's literally seeing a huge price boost up to 9,300 when last week he was 8.4, 8.6 just because of the matchup. So I'm going towards Harden. I'm with you. I think PJ Tucker will get a ton of run. There's no reason why he shouldn't play at least 35 to 38 minutes if this is a close game.
Right.
But one other guy I wanted to bring up was Gary Clark, because that's the guy who benefited from them playing small ball. He played 30 minutes in the last one. He's near min salary at 3,500 on DK. The funny thing is he has center eligibility. He's more of like a wing, power forward type guy. Yeah.
You're kidding.
He's power forward and center eligible, and I think that's just because of the way the Rockets have been playing with him. But he played 29 minutes in the last game against Miami, shot 5 of 10, finished the night with 28.5 DK points. That's some value knowing that Daniel House played in that game. So if Daniel House, is sitting out, and we know that they're not going to be playing a ton of, I'm with you. I've been fading that Tyson Chandler BS since the day it started. I think there was one game where they played Minnesota where I threw him in a couple and tried it, but never again. I'm not going to keep falling for that. I'm off that train, and I'm not going to be playing Hartenstein either. I just, like you said, I don't think Atlanta needs to play big. I think they prefer to play small with how bad their front line defense is. It looks like they refuse to play Alex Len at all. So I'm mostly sticking to those three guys. If you wanted to take a stab at a guy like Ben McLemore, he's expected to start in place of House. I don't expect a ton of usage from him, but he's the same price as Clark. Both those guys are near minimum salary, and between those four guys are going to be my main shares on this team.
Very nice. What about on the Atlanta side?
Oh, if I'm playing this game heavily, like I just mentioned, in that kind of script, I'm playing a ton of Trae Young. I mean, 8,900. We just saw what he did. Yeah, I'm not expecting another 49, real life points, but he's a walking GPP monster. We know this night in and night out. He's going to get a ton of usage. He puts up the assists just about every single game. The shot attempts will always be there. He gets to the line. He's a star in the making. I mean, he's being overshadowed by what Luka's doing, and I think everybody in the NBA is too. But Trae Young is slowly budding, and you don't hear people thinking, everyone's breaking the sunstones about taking DeAndre Ayton. The Hawks, they might have traded, but they didn't really miss either. They got a great player in Trae Young. Yes, he's not going to be Luka Doncic necessarily, but he's a fantastic player as well. So I'm definitely going to be all over him. I like your Jabari Parker call. I think if you're game scripting this, you're trying to get two guys from both sides, you could definitely look at Parker. I'm not going to be overboard on him. I will have shares. But I think that one thing I wanted to monitor and keep an eye on is Evan Turner's minutes. The coach has kind of been publicly apologizing, saying that he hasn't been playing him enough. Right now he's only playing 14 minutes. He's only 3,400, but I wouldn't be shocked to start to see him get a little bit more extended run. And this kind of seems like a matchup where having a veteran on the floor who could guard multiple positions would be useful. So I'm kind of limiting my ownership to those guys. I don't really want to go to DeAndre Hunter. Bembry's always kind of that dart throw. I most like to play him when I know he's starting. Absolute monster minutes in the last one. I don't know if we're going to see that same game. He had 15 and 12 in the last one. I can't expect that. That might have just been a kind of a game script thing. I'm actually gonna look into that a little bit more. So if you keep an eye on our Twitter accounts, I'll try to tweet something out about that, because that's interesting. If we hear that he's gonna be playing or starting or whatever it may be, and he's playing that many minutes at 4K, that would totally overshadow the whole Evan Turner thing for me.
Yeah, that really is an interesting deal there. I like that call. I have one big point for you here, and this I think is what I'm going to key my night off of. Here's a quiz question for you. Who is defensive real plus minus so far this season? Who is number one in the league guarding the opposing?
The opposing point guard, you said? I couldn't hear you at that last. Opposing
point guard, yes.
Well, every time you set me up with these softball-like questions, I feel like it's somebody in this game. So I want to say Drew Holiday, because that just makes the most sense to me in my head. But if you come out and say Russell Westbrook, I'd be absolutely stunned.
It's Russell Westbrook.
That's shocking.
I know no one would believe it, because he's taken some noise in the past for defensive, how he plays defense on the ball. Now, I said this on a show. I don't think it was the one with you, so I'm not. You probably hadn't heard it, or you would have guessed that quicker. But They did a piece on the Houston station. I was watching pregame last week, and they did a piece before the game where they interviewed Westbrook, and he said his entire off season he worked on one specific thing. He wanted to come to the Rockets, and he wanted to be the best on-ball defender in the league. And he said he worked all summer on footwork, positioning. He worked with the defensive coach. He worked on specific, stuff as far as reaching and deflections. He had all this. Basically, his entire preparation was getting ready to play on the ball defense, and that was his challenge coming to this team. He felt like that would be the best role he could play. One, because he's taken a lot of negative comments that way, and two, because he felt that would help Houston the most because it would let Harden sort of do his thing and he could shut some people down. And the damn guy has done it. It goes to show you what a freak athlete he is, that he could actually do that. And I know it's a small sample size, 15 games or whatever, but the damn guy's getting it done. So to me, that is enough reason to fade Trae Young. Back-to-back, played his butt off in a really close game last night, put up 49 real points. He gets the crazy maniac Westbrook all up in his business. And I just think, Trae is still a little scoring, specifically, really needs the real points to score. So that tendency is there because he does get a lot of assists, but he turns the ball over a lot. And then after that, there's not a bunch of periphery numbers. So I know he's probably going to be massively owned, and I'm hoping that's going to be my pivot difference in pivoting away from him and using Jabari Parker as my main guy, and maybe a little DeAndre Bembry. I got to look more into that. But have you noticed Bembry's production when he gets the minutes has been ridiculous?
Oh yeah, he's a fantastic point per minute producer. We see him grab boards like almost in like a Josh Hart style as a guard type, and he can play multiple positions. He could basically play the 1 through 3. So I'm really, the more I'm looking at it, the more I'm considering Bembry. But the thing I'm struggling with is I can't imagine that Jabari Parker is the one that keeps them necessarily in this game, and the ancillary pieces are tough. Trae Young's going to have to score at least 20 to 25 points minimum in this game to kind of keep this intact. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it from a game script. I also love the price tag. 8,900 will be fine if we get like 45 out of him, and that's almost like his floor. What it seems like in this season, he's taken double-digit 3-point attempts over the past few games. And I wanted to, I love that you brought up that Westbrook, because that's something that is actually real, and you can literally check it if you just look in the box scores of his games. Almost every game this season, the fouls are there for him, and the fouls are likely there because he's being more aggressive on defense, like you said.
Yeah, he gets in foul trouble. Yeah.
Oh, 5 fouls in the last one, 5 before that, 6 before that, 4, 5. So
getting up in everybody's business.
Yeah, and that's definitely something to put up. But we were talking about it a little bit before on air, and I've been kind of treating Trae Young the same way I've been treating Luka this season, and they're both just matchup proof.
Would you like to wash your mouth out with soap, young man?
I said treating him. I didn't say it there to say, listen, I've been riding the Luka train. I think there's been maybe one slate this whole season that I faded Luka, and it worked out for me. It was when they were facing the Clippers. Every other single slate he's been on, I've been overweight on him, and I will keep being overweight. And I could probably say the same thing about Trae Young. And it's because I know these guys they've been underpriced. And I think at 8,900, he should be a guy that's almost 10K.
Yeah. So. Yeah, no, he's been terrific. There's no doubt about it. So it'll be interesting. Part of my game script on this is I think Houston does win by 20, but I think you put in the D'Antoni dumbness here, and I hope he overplays his guys.
You're right. He is dumb. He is dumb, and we've seen that, and I'm glad you brought it up on the preseason, because that's the one reason why we were I was all over Harden, and I think I wrote it up in one of the preseason DFS articles. When in doubt, go with D'Antoni. It's just something that he does. It's a good point. I mean, to
your value, bro. The very first night of the very first preseason, I remember you saying the exact words of, "Load up on the Rockets, guys." D'Antoni in the past has always overplayed his guys in meaningless games, whether it be preseason or blowouts. He does it all the time. And you said that before anybody. So, hats off to you, man.
Tibbs is the other guy too, and I appreciate it. But yeah, keep an eye.
Yeah.
If Tibbs ever gets another head coaching job, keep an eye on him. He's another guy that just buries his guys for no damn reason.
Yeah, he might be done. All right, let's go to game 4, the final game on the night. I have a feeling this is going to be the quickest discussion of the night. You've got the Charlotte Hornets at the Milwaukee Bucks, also an 8 o'clock game. So there is no late night sweat game tonight. And you've got the 25th slowest pace, I guess is the way to put it, for Charlotte. They do not get up and down the floor that fast, which is surprising considering they've got some speedy guards, but that's the type of half-court offense that they've been running. And Milwaukee's still the fastest. They've been there for quite some time now. They are pushing the ball, defense to offense, a lot of fast break buckets, and getting it done. Charlotte is also the 3rd worst defensive team in the league, so that's not a good thing. And Milwaukee is continued to be in the top 10 all year. They're sitting at 9th. So interesting, definitely monster blowout potential here. Definitely some concern. They're both on back-to-backs. So what do you think here, man? Who do you want to take?
I think it's just going to be the ancillary pieces for me in this one. We talked about that Houston-Atlanta game, and we're clearly going to be spending a lot of money in there, especially be looking at Trae Young and James Harden. So if you wanted to go and play Giannis, I'm not going to knock you. It's Giannis Antetokounmpo at the end of the day. He's MVP. He could put up 60 or 70 on any single slate.
I'm just usually does.
Yeah. But I'm just kind of treating this as the one game I would like to avoid a little bit more. So on the Milwaukee side, I'm really looking at the ancillary pieces. Like I said, I'll be looking at DiVincenzo. He's been getting solid run. I feel good in his youth that they're going to keep giving him solid and extended run, especially if this game gets out of hand. He'd probably be one of the guys that still sees some time in the fourth quarter. Chris Middleton's minutes are also being monitored. He's coming off the bench. I think that they're going to take it slow with him. This doesn't seem like a game that they're going to just immediately throw him back in there and be like, play 35 minutes all of a sudden. So I'm really, that's probably one of the main pieces I'm looking at. I'm always on the Bledsoe bandwagon. I kind of always like to play him. He's been a little bit down as of late. And this isn't a matchup, like I said, where I'm too, and I want to be too invested in these bigger pieces. So I think for the Bucks, I'm really just looking at DiVincenzo.
Okay, and nothing, anything on the Charlotte side?
I'll play Biyombo. I mean, at the end of the day, he's still only 4,500. Yes, if this game gets out of hands, his minutes will probably suffer. But if he's still playing 24, 25 minutes at 4,500, I think there's still a little bit of juice left on the bone for us in that kind of matchup. He'll definitely be highly owned. Cody Zeller is currently questionable, but I would expect him to sit out again. We'll see. I mean, he was supposed to play in this game. In yesterday's game. So it wouldn't shock me if it goes either way, but at this point, I'm treating it as though maybe they just keep him out again. It's a tough matchup. Give him another day's rest. Play Biyombo at 4,500, and if it stays close, fantastic. It gets an extra run, and if it doesn't, I think he'll still have enough to get us where we survive on a 3-game slate. Center's weak too.
Yeah. Well, I'm with you, man. I think that is 1,000,000% news. Dependent. If Zeller sits, plug in Biyombo. If Zeller plays, I wouldn't touch either one because they'll probably split the game because Biyombo's earned some minutes. But I watched the pregame yesterday because I also was thinking that Cody was going to play. And they said he was close to playing, but, didn't quite feel right in warm-ups. And they were probably going to hold him out one more day, being that it was a back-to-back. So I think he's going to play, actually. He's listed as questionable, but I'm at least game scripting my early stuff that he plays. So that's going to knock Biyombo out for me, with him going in there. This game is hard. I'm going to try to fade it as much as possible because I just, the matchup is scary with the blowout potential. And, these are not two coaches that play their guys in blowout. They're happy to give them rest and sit them, especially teams coming off back-to-backs, which they both are. So I think this is a dangerous game. It's a gamble game if you think it can stay a little close. You certainly are going to be contrarian if you stack it. There's no doubt about it. I just don't see any reason to gamble and pay up for Giannis in this for Giannis in this type of situation where he may not get the full minutes. So the one thing to consider, though, is it is a massive, you can't get a bigger pace up game for Charlotte playing the number one fastest pace team. And I will mention a few guys that have been catching my interest lately. And one being Devontae Graham, of course, we've talked about him, but he's been so tough lately, just scoring and dishing. Definitely a guy you got to consider. The other guy that's turned it up, and I was high on him early, then completely gave up on him. Now I'm starting to believe a little bit, and that's Miles Bridges. He's thrown some big games together. He can rebound the ball. He's finishing better, shooting a little bit better. So if you need a Miles Bridges to fill out your lineup, and you can put him in there, I think he'll get you some run. A guy off the bench that's not bad too. If you're really trying to squeeze in value, is a Malik Monk. He's been getting, minutes in the 20s, and he is a chuck and duck guy. He's going to get his shots up for sure, without question. But on the Milwaukee side, Middleton on a back-to-back. We haven't seen news, but, I got to think he's only going to play like 15, 18 minutes. That's my gut feeling. So, that gives a little bit more juice to DiVincenzo for sure. Maybe even Bledsoe a little bit. So a couple of guys to keep an eye on there as well. So that's it.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, I can't justify playing like a guy like Malik Monk personally, just because I know I mentioned a few of those guys in Houston that are cheaper. Yeah, I think I'd prefer Gary Clark $100 less. And hey, if we're not playing Biombo, this Gary Clark center play is looking stronger and stronger.
Yeah, I can't believe he's eligible at center. I doubt that guy's ever played center.
Really. And I mean, at the end of the day, I'm going to be all over Horford, so I can easily just play Horford at center, stop worrying about it, and then look at the forward positions. But part of DraftKings and using that eligibility is mixing and matching and kind of getting some love in all the different ways. And that's kind of how I've always seen my biggest success is when I kind of just sit there and just fiddle with my lineups in that last 45-minute window before they lock. Just kind of just trying it out, seeing if I kind of went down every avenue and covered every aspect, and I feel very good and comfortable about it at the end of the day.
I'm with you, man. But I'll tell you, we've given you, even though it's a 3-game slate, I think we've given you about 3 or 4 or 5 value plays that if you do want to play stars and scrubs and try to get, Trey and Harden or Giannis or a combination thereof, you could probably do it with some Clarks and Monks and different guys like that if you really wanted to roll it that way. There's definitely a few different options for this slate. Even though it's only a 3-game main slate, you can use multiple strategies in this one for sure. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'm glad you brought that up with the whole stars and scrubs because let's be real. I mean, that's probably the way I'm going to go, Coach. I don't know about you. I mean, I don't see enough fair and balanced guys that really entice me. I mean, the only 3 guys that we've talked about that were on the fair and balanced approach would be like Brogdon, Sabonis, and Jabari Parker. And then, I think Al Horford and Tobias Harris are guys that I'm going to be looking at even in my stars and scrub slates because we already have enough value. So I've kind of been messing around with the shell lineup. I was able to get Horford, Tobias, Harden, and Trae Young all in one lineup so far. So
that's beautiful. See, I think I'm going to go with the contrarian play today. I'm going to play Harden and Clark. So those are my first 2 plug and plays because I've got my high and my low. And then I'm going to try to diversify all that middle group and try to get middle of the road guys that I think are going to be solid, like the Horfords and maybe the Miles Bridges and maybe the, Bledsoes and those guys that aren't super high cost but aren't value guys. Try to build a little more sound team instead of having to roll the dice and maybe sit Trey and Giannis. Just an interesting build.
I can't play Bridges, man. I just think I just get terrified when I'm thinking about them being lined up across in the center of that jump ball, and you just see him Giannis Antetokounmpo across from him. That's a rude awakening.
That is scary. That's for sure. Well, you never know, man.
No,
You
hey,
never know.
hey, listen, and that's what makes GPP so fun. He's going to be
Yeah.
very contrarian. A lot of other people are going to feel the exact same way. So if you can get a guy like that right on the right night, and let's be real, it happens. Guys just shoot lights out, regardless of the matchup. If they just feel it walking into the gym, and all of a sudden they hit 75, 80% of their shots that night, they're going to crush value, and they're going to be low owned, and that's the kind of spot you want to target.
It's the NBA, that's for sure. But listen, we didn't really get to do a show together right at Thanksgiving. I don't think so. I want to first of all thank you, man. I'm thankful for you being my partner in this DFS venture. We have other guys that are really stepped up and made the show fantastic. Andrew's been just a fantastic ad, and same thing with Miles and all of our team with Dan. But you and I sort of talked about this for almost a year, and we give each other a hard time all the time. But I just appreciate your dedication and your willingness to, switch times. We're doing things, but we made the commitment to each other that we were not going to miss as a team. We were not going to miss a game in preseason, regular season, or postseason, and we have gotten to this point so far pretty smoothly. Our listenership is like 14x as far as growth. And so I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for our listeners and for all of our team at Hoopball. So I wanted to make sure and say that even though you will wear the chicken suit, I still want you to know I appreciate you. So
I appreciate that, man, definitely. And there's not another guy in the business in the industry I'd rather be doing this show with and kind of starting and building this from the ground up. So I'm happy to have you on here, man. I always have a great time every time we're doing the show together. We have a different kind of chemistry, being you being the super old guy and me being like the young, savvy, extremely good looking guy. So we get to throw our jabs at each other.
I was actually going to say, having the wise, experienced, smart
Yeah.
guy
I
dragging the
can't.
dumb, inexperienced guy across the wire with every word.
I can't help
But,
myself, man. I can't help myself. I was gonna go with the nice approach, and I know, in all realness, in all seriousness, man, I love doing the show with you, and it's awesome, and I love the team that we have behind us,
yeah,
and we're doing great things, and I love our listeners, man. They all chime in, they all come at us, they hold us accountable when we need to be held accountable, and they rate and review. So please don't forget to do that, guys, and it's something that
yeah,
we
do
greatly
that.
appreciate.
We need that. We're growing. So, you can listen to us every day on NBA DFS Today. Search it for everywhere podcasts are found, or just DFS Today. We're there. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, iHeart, Spotify, YouTube. Take 15, 30 seconds, rate, review, subscribe. I really appreciate the 5 stars, likes, thumbs up, couple of quick words. We've also been getting some really, I don't know if it's the Thanksgiving mode. Everybody's, been so kind. I know we've both been getting some really positive tweets, saying, good job, appreciate it, took down this tournament, did it. Send us that stuff, man. We'd love to hear it. It makes us feel like we're really accomplishing something. And we just love to share in those victories for sure. So keep sending us info, comments. I'm at Joe Sarvadi, JoeSarvadi. He's at Mike Apotria, MikeApotria. We have Andrew at Language Olympic. Miles is at Miles6565. And, really follow us throughout the day. Right now it's 9:44. We're going to be posting things all through up until lock, even for the early game. Any changes, anything that's going on, our team will be blurbing that info out. Go to at Hoopball Fantasy on Twitter as well. That's where everything sort of merges with all of us putting everything in there, and you'll be able to see all the updates there as well. So really, we appreciate our presenting sponsor, Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee Company, and our whole base team back at the home base. We added a new guy I saw today, Joaquin. So welcome to him. He's another new guy that's not on the DFS side, but what is his role? Did you read that, Mike?
Yeah, I believe he's going to be working on the back end of the broadcasting side. So we have we're always looking for more people over here at Hoopball, whether it's contributing as far as articles, blurbs, podcast, DFS side of it, whatever it may be, back end, maybe you're good with graphics, maybe you're good at editing, software editing, podcasting, whatever it is, we're always looking for a little bit more help, and it's a great place. We're growing fast. I've been here since one of the first seasons that we've started, and I've kind of only seen my role increase since I've been here. I've only been given more opportunity to kind of create content, and that's if you're trying to break this industry, that's the biggest thing and the hardest thing to get is a reputable, well-known platform that will allow you to create content. So take advantage of it, because Hoopball is a place that has it.
It really is, and you'll see everything. It will continue as we grow so fast. You'll have better audio. We'll do some live shows. We'll have more production, a lot of stuff in the background. And, when you go to hoop-ball.com and look at all we have to offer, I mean, it's unbelievable for fantasy and NBA. I mean, way beyond DFS. I mean, the core of hoop-ball.com are the year-long leagues, the dynasty, the head-to-heads, and there's constant news. We have box score breakdowns every night of the week. We've got Dan's show, NBA Today, which is the best in the industry. So jump on, listen, keep us in your queue there, so it lets you know when we're going have a show that posts or goes live. And I did hear a rumor too, I'll finish with this, that part of Joaquin's reason for coming aboard and the project he's working on is he wants to be able to set up that live feed from a 3-camera angle to catch every bit of you in that chicken suit during that NBA All-Star Game live shot.
Yeah.
We don't want to miss anything. We're going to have zoom ins on your beak, and
we're just circling back. We're just circling back around right now, Coach, and you're just putting more of the emphasis that we need to get more angles on the young, savvy, 28-year-old, good-looking guy. We must be doing a 4-person show, and they're getting 3 cameras. Is that the way I'm getting it?
It's all about the chicken suit, dude.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
We'll see when it gets there, Coach.
What? Next time we'll do a show together. When's our next show together?
Oh, well, I will be off tonight. I'm actually going to be taking a nice.
I'm off tonight too, I think. Yeah, aren't I?
Yeah, I think we're both off. I don't know. What do you?
It's the Miles and Andrew show.
I'm going to the casino, Coach. So I'm going to be running some DK lineups, and I'm going to be going to the casino up here in Connecticut. We're spoiled in Connecticut. We have 2 of the nicest and largest casinos in the world, with Mohegan Sun and Foxwoods, maybe 35 minutes away from me. So. I'll probably be going there. I'm going to be picking up one of my good buddies. He just got home from, I think I mentioned it, from the Marines not too long ago, moved back up to Connecticut. So it's going to be one of the first trips that we're kind of taking and going out since he's been back up here. And going to get away a little bit.
What's your game of choice?
So I'm a blackjack guy. I play blackjack. I'll play a little roulette. When I'm actually winning, then I'll take a trip over to the craps table. But I'm not really going up to gamble all so much. Just kind of go out there, grab a few drinks, have a good time with my buddy. We'll get some food. Probably bring the girlfriends up with us, and just have a good night. I'll probably bring up a couple $100 and just expect to lose it and be okay with it.
Well, promise me this: save a $25 chip and put it in between the numbers 30 and 33. Those were my 2 basketball numbers. So you can say this one's for Coach, and it pays $12.50 on each number. If it comes out, you will make a fortune. And I'm telling you, red 30, red 33, you're
I'm going to do it.
All right.
I might even take a little. Actually, I don't think they'll let me video it.
They'll throw
in
you
the
out.
casino. Yeah, I can't video it, but yeah, I'll let you know. I'll let you know how it goes.
Let me know how it turns out. It'll probably be 0-0.
Yeah,
Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah,
Carmelo Anthony.
The only problem with me going to the casino with my girlfriend is she likes to just pull the slot machine levers, and if you go to the casino and you just kind of jump from slot to slot, you already know that you're not going to be winning a lot of money. So when I'm winning, I usually I see her come up to me and hands out, and I give her another 20. So I usually break even when I win.
Well, there you go, man. Well, have fun. That's the main thing. Enjoy yourself. And I'm sure Miles and Andrew are going to crush it tonight, because tomorrow's another one of those monster slates. I think it's 9 games or 12 games? 9 games, I think, tomorrow. Yeah, 9. So that should be a real good one. But anyway, next time I got there, oh man, you're all choked up just because you're so thankful to do all these shows
down
with
the wrong pipe.
Yeah. I know, man. It's, doing these shows with me will get you choked up, and I'm sure there's tears too,
There
but
is.
it's
I'm
okay.
dying over here. I just took some boiling coffee down the wrong pipe.
Oh, that's not good,
That
bro.
happens. At
But
least there's
anyway,
who I
on our
am.
next show together, the reason we went off the rails here, we got to get the chicken soup challenges going again. We haven't had one in a long time, and I've been leading for so long now, it's getting boring. So I'd like to, at least have somebody nipping at my heels. So we'll get one on. I'll look them up next time. Our next
How
show
about
together.
Gary Clark for Malik Monk?
No, I'm playing Gary Clark.
Uh,
He's going to be one of my foundational plays now
okay,
that
all
I know
right.
he's eligible at those positions. So, see, you learn something every day. You got me on the Gary Clark wagon.
I should have
Now,
asked
if
before.
he throws up like 5 fantasy points, I'm going to get my ass over to Foxwoods and find you somewhere in the place. Just telling you right now. So, now that'd be quite a trip. But all right, brother, we better roll here. You guys have a great day. Crush it. Keep an eye out. This show will be online here shortly, and then just follow all the moves. There's still some big news out there that we need to know. We need to confirm, our theory of Embiid sitting, and we need to know if Zeller's in or out, those kind of things. So awesome, man. Any last words?
I'm good to go.
All right. So we again thank you for joining us for another edition of Hoopball NBA DFS today. For my man Mike Apotria, I am Coach. We will look to catch you again tomorrow as we crush it on NBA DFS.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.